Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Community Access. Last week, we went to Lakeville Lake to check on how and why to clean and wash your boats. Then, we're still concerned about Addison Township potentially losing NODA. And finally, we'll show you another dog from the Canine Rescue League, all today at our Community Access.
For Friday night fish at the Oxford American Legion Hall. It's delicious.
We love the Legion. They have great fish and good family fun.
American Legion fish fry. It's awesome. And the drinks are good. The food is good. The service is awesome.
Welcome back. Last week, our reporter Andy Curtis went to the Lakeville Lake to explain why you need to wash your boat when you're done. Andy?
We're down here at the Lakeville Lake Boat Launch with Wayne Hodges, and we're going to talk about a very special program aimed at keeping our natural resource, the lakes of Michigan, pristine and free of all critters, pretty much, right?
Well, thank you. Lakes are living organisms, but there's the indigenous species that are there, and then there's the invasive species that come in. And unfortunately, the invasive species tend to grow earlier in the year, grow later in the year, and reproduce faster.
Now, could you touch on what type of invasive species you're speaking? Because I know the big one in everybody's mind is we got the Asian carp in Lake Michigan.
Yep. Well, originally we had the zebra mussels that moved in, and that was 15 years ago. They tend to eat themselves out of house and home and die off, and then they come back. Mm-hmm. We've had the Eurasian milfoil, which is a plant, which is similar to the indigenous milfoil plant here, except it grows faster and takes over. We do have Phragmites, which is a little bit like a pussy willow, if you will. Purple strife, we've noticed at the shoreline, which DEQ is helping us control. And now we've got the starry stonewort, which is actually a plant, or not a plant, it's actually an animal. And unfortunately, it's growing very, very well here. It likes Lakeville a lot, but it also ruins fish habitat, taking over their nesting sites and making it more difficult for the fish to reproduce. Of course, a lot of what people enjoy in Lakeville Lake is fishing. The weeds tend to hinder navigation and make it difficult sometimes for people to dock their boat or get into shore. But on the other hand, it's really just about being able to offer our grandchildren and our children the same legacy that we got to enjoy here as adults. And so rather than just waiting for the invasive species to continue to hit the lake one after the other, this operation is really intended more as an attempt to prevent the transfer, to basically clean the boat and trailer before it goes into the lake and after it comes out of the lake, so there's nothing for it to take to the next lake.
You guys are all set. Thank you very much.
And that's the concept behind it. And we found that the Michigan State University and DEQ had a program for this mobile launch that they can take to site as an education tool to demonstrate the technology. We invited them to come here, hoping that our township officials, as well as our Property Owners Association, would become more educated in this opportunity to be able to prevent the transfer. And that's really why we're here today.
Are you guys seeing any positive results just yet? I know this is the first day that the mobile boat wash has been out here, but I'm assuming that we've got to see some progress already.
Well, some people don't want to have their boats washed. They're in a hurry, which tells us we've got an educational job to do.
Right.
Okay. Others have already, taken the opportunity to have their boats and trailers washed. Whether or not we'll see any, these things tend to, lakes are living organisms, as I said earlier, and there you look at trends. You don't look at a data point. It doesn't tell you much. You've got to look at the trend of the data. And so you look at it over years of what's it telling you. And Lakeville Lake has cooperated for 29 years with a state program where we take data on the water quality of the lake every year and participate in a statewide program. So we've got the history to look back on and compare to, how have we been transitioning.
And what's that data showing currently? Because I know people move out to Addison and near Lakeville because of its rural charm, it's rustic. You think of the lake being pristine, but obviously there's something that is starting as a problem here. Like you mentioned earlier, some of the invasive species are here right now.
Well, the lake water is actually very clean.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And right now, the trends are that we're in a tropic state that is very desirable. We want to stay there. But on the other hand, we need to know what the data is telling us if we're starting to drift one direction or the other.
So just because the lake is clean right now, that's no excuse to not wash your boat and not take this into serious consideration.
Well, for example, the Phragmites. Okay, there's nothing to do with that except cut it down and burn it.
Right.
Okay, none of these invasive species are we able to kill. The Eurasian milfoil, we're able to retard its growth. The starry stonewort, by using basically copper sulfate, are able to retard its growth. But we can't eliminate any of these things. So once they're here, we're stuck with them. Whether they morph with the indigenous species or not is another matter, where basically we may lose that indigenous species. But again, just like with the starry stonewort affecting the fish habitat, the nesting grounds, that can have a devastating effect on the fishermen.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff. You think about it, I've been seeing signs lately, especially because it's summer, out on the lake a little bit more about washing your boat, the importance of it. But that's something that you always think, Lake Michigan, you always think bigger lakes, not so close to home right here.
No, it's a huge problem with the inland lakes because people tend to go lake to lake to lake.
Yep, it's just like the fragate. You get this mat, zebra mussels. It's pretty much everywhere. Not too many lakes I've been in that I haven't seen it around.
Now, you did mention that this is a MSU partnering with, and everybody knows what MSU stands for, but it's partnering with DEQ. Now, that's something I'm a bit unfamiliar with what exactly DEQ stands for. You mind elaborating?
Department of Environmental Quality.
Okay. Now, that's a program, that's a statewide program?
Yep. Yes.
And different than the DNR as far as you know? Or
yes, it's separate.
Okay. And they're here today to help.
Let me introduce you to their representative, Mike.
Look, he's been waiting. He's been waiting the entire time.
Here, slide in.
All right, Mike, thank you. Now, Mike, tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
I am out here pretty much 5 days a week. We're going around the state, taking the mobile boat wash unit, spreading awareness about aquatic invasive species to the general public, and trying to this is really an outreach program. It's not really just to spray down boats and wash boats. It's to educate the public. Even if we don't spray it in our boat, if we can teach you a little bit about Eurasian milfoil and how to prevent the spread of it, or zebra mussels, then we've done our job.
Now, how big are both those two invasive species that you just mentioned? How big of a problem are they statewide?
Statewide, they're probably the two biggest. Zebra mussel is in most lakes in the lower peninsula and a lot in the upper peninsula. There are still a few lakes that don't have them. Same with Eurasian milfoil. And starry stonewort's now spreading up from the south part of the state, and it's really becoming a problem. It's a problem out here, actually.
Now, a problem, I don't want to make it sound like it's worse than it is, but what do you mean exactly by problem? It's just starting to show up? Or?
Well, in this lake, I believe Wayne told me it's one of the worst lakes we have in Michigan, but in other lakes, it is just starting to show up, and usually it's around the boat launch, which is why we're out here. We're trying to spray down boats. Our unit gets the water up to 140 degrees, which will kill pretty much any organism on the boat, and with the high pressure, it can just blow it off the boat, too.
Okay. And now you're a Michigan State student, I'm assuming?
Yes, that is correct.
And what program? You're through the DEQ or working with them, obviously, but...
Yeah, Fisheries and Wildlife program. My degree is in Fisheries and Wildlife with a concentration in fisheries biology.
Okay.
And fisheries management.
And you guys have been here since, I believe, noon today. Have you had a lot of people come through yet?
We've washed 3 people's boats, but we've had probably, I think, 8 people now tell us no. So we've had roughly a
Right.
a little less than a 30% chance success rate, which is a little bit off from what we normally have. Usually it's closer to 60%. So, but we have a lot of people who usually tell us no.
Now, why are you thinking that? I mean, it just probably doesn't take too long to adequately and effectively wash a boat that comes through here, right?
No, it takes us about 5 minutes, and that's it. It doesn't take that much time, and that's the biggest excuse we always hear is I don't have the time for it. And it takes 2-3 minutes, and it saves the lake for your grandkids or your kids. And I remember, I think it was Wayne earlier who told me that it's not about what his legacy here, and it's the legacy he leaves for his grandkids.
Now, if people don't have the opportunity to use one of these mobile stations, what can they do on their own to wash down the boat effectively?
I mean, it can be as simple as using your garden hose and just washing down your boat. You can use a 5% bleach solution, so like a half cup of bleach to 5 gallons of water, and you just wipe down the outside of your boat. You pour it in your live well and drain it out, and it'll kill anything in there.
Now, is there a website, maybe through your program or for the DEQ or DNR or any other of the state websites, where people can see a checklist or instructions on how they can properly do this?
You can go to, if you look up Clean Boats, Clean Waters through Google, or you can look through aquatic invasive species through MDEQ, so Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. They have an aquatic invasive species web page, and they'll have the information there, but also Clean Boats, Clean Waters has a lot of information out there.
All right, Mike, you got anything else you want to tell us?
No, I think that's about it.
I appreciate it. All right, now we're here with Quentin, another one of the volunteers today. He's going to take us step-by-step through how these machines work. Quentin, thank you.
Yep. Well, we have our gas motor right here. It's an 18 horse Honda motor. It powers the pressure washer, and there's also a vacuum in the back. Once we get to the diesel burner, it heats up the water. So it heats the water up to about 140 degrees when we spray down the boats. We just use water. We don't use any bleach or anything. The 140 degree water is supposed to kill any zebra mussel larvae or any other aquatic hitchhikers, right, that can be on your boat. So we'll be on here. We got our main water tank. We have a water source in East Lansing that we fill up our tank. Goes through our pressure washer, goes through our hoses as we spray it down onto the boats. Then we move back further. We got a vacuum right in the back here. We put this thing we got right here. We put it on our mat after we get done sucking up. We suck up the water after we spray off a boat, and then it goes through a series of filters. Take you back here. A series of filters back here. Comes in. We have a big filter in the back. Filters out your weeds and your gravel and things like that. Then it gets moved through a 50 micron and 20 micron filter, which are even smaller, finer filters that can catch pretty much just everything out of it. And then it shoots the water back into the back tank back here, and that water is clean and able to reuse, so we can recycle the water and reuse it if we want to. If we run out of water in the front tank, we can use water in the back tank to spray down boats too.
So this whole area right here is where all the gunk and garbage, everything you pick up off the boat, and then what do you guys do with it once it's contained in here? Is it like a Ghostbusters type trap system, or where do you dispose of it later?
For the most part, these gauges right here, they'll tell us if when the machine is running, if these gauges moved up, it means there's a lot of guck in there. That's it's the pressure.
That's the technical terms, a lot of gunk.
A guck, yeah. That's a good word. And yep. Then we know we twist these off, and there's big filters in there. Then we can take them, either just throw them in the garbage, or we can spray them off with a hose real good and reuse the filters too if we have to. But usually the backwater we do dump. We have a sanitary sewer on campus that we take the machine to, and we'll dump all that water out and refill the front tank up with fresh water. So.
All right. And how do you guys? Is this the first place you guys have been with this particular mobile unit, or is this like you going somewhere later after you leave here? You leave Lakeville, or what's the plan for this?
For this, well, we've been doing this all summer where we're taking this machine from lake to lake. We typically just do one lake for the day, unless we've done trips. We went up to Torch Lake where we knocked out a couple lakes in a day if associations were just able to work on our schedule with us. But sometimes we'll stay the night up. If we're way up north, we'll stay the night and then go to a nearby lake the next day. And then we'll come back home to East Lansing. So, yeah, she gets to see a lot of the state. We get to go all over, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty good gig. Not only are you helping out the environment, but you get to travel all over during the summer, which.
Yep, you get the fishing report from all the fishermen and stuff when you're washing on their boats, so you know where you might want to go scope out a couple lakes later on. So.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty sweet deal. Well, Quentin, thanks for talking to us, and go green.
Yeah, go green, go green.
So for our community access, I'm Andy Curtis. Back to you, Bill.
Good job, Andy. Was that lake cold? Next up is our dog of the week from the Canine Rescue League.
Hi, my name is Karen. I'm here at Canine Stray Rescue League in Oxford. We are located just north of town on Metamora Road, just north of the Myers. Today I have with me Daisy. She's one of our little friends here at the kennel. She's between 1 and 3 years old. She's a cream Chihuahua. She loves playing with all the other dogs. She's a sweet little thing. And she, as well as all our other dogs at the kennel, are spayed or neutered, up to date on the rabies and distemper shots. And we also heartworm all the dogs. And also we have 3 vets in the area that if you adopt a dog from us, you can take them for a well dog exam and a fecal. We are opened Monday for Labor Day if anybody is going to be around in town. And we're also going to be at Pet Stuff this Saturday, which is located on M24 and Drainer Roads. We are open every day at the kennel except for Tuesday and Wednesdays. We'd love to have you come and visit us. And also, I have another friend with me here today too. Her name is Allie. Allie, would you like to come and visit? Let me run over here and get her for you. Okay, come on, Allie. Yep, okay. There, Daisy has a friend. Her name is Allie. Allie is a 1.5-year-old boxer. She likes to snuggle. She also sees her friend over there in a ball that she wants to get. She's house trained, loves playing with the other dogs. Allie, can you come and say hello to us? Can you say hello to Daisy too? Let's see. There. Can you wave to all your friends out there? Say hi. She's interested in another dog over there, so she's not going to want to visit with us. But yes, we'd love to have you come and visit with us. And we are at Petco, Great Lakes Crossing, on the 1st and 3rd Saturdays of the month, and the 2nd and 4th we are always at Pet Stuff. So, love to see you around. Say goodbye. Alrighty.
Just another great dog from the Canine Rescue League. They are just north of Myers on 2120 Metamora Road. Next up, we went to Addison Township to visit with Bruce Pearson about the possible losing NODA.
So, Bill, I spoke to some Addison Township NODA riders the other day, and I wanted to find the township supervisor to see what is going to happen if the NODA vote doesn't go through, which it didn't this time, and it's going back on the ballot in November. My question is, how is this community going to take care of the people that really do need NODA? They're shut-ins without NODA services. How are we going to fix this problem?
Right. Well, as you know, NODA was started in 2001, and Dan Alberti, our past treasurer, helped start this from the ground up, and we got federal funding for it. And there was a lot of sweat and equity put into this to get this started, and it has served us extremely well in Addison Township. We're a rural township. We have no other form of transportation out here. You can't call a taxi. We have, there just is nothing else unless you have a good neighbor or some children who live close here. You don't have a ride. So how will it impact us? It impacts us greatly, even more so than in the other 2 townships, Orion and Oxford, who did pass it, because they do have services as far as taxi service that can get their seniors to the doctors or to the grocery store or the hair salon, whatever they need for the seniors. We don't have that here. So NODA is even more needed here than in the other townships. And we, the vote on August 5th was not to raise a millage for Addison Township, but it was also on the ballot for Orion and Oxford. The reality is Orion and Oxford did pass. We did not. If all the townships or 2 of the townships did not pass, the thinking was that we would just cut the services in half, because that's about the amount of the federal funding that's going to stop, the federal and state funding. Then we would have just downsized the busing to half, and then we would have had a waiting list service our seniors, but at least we would have had some kind of a service, and it would have been by priority if it was an emergency doctor appointment or whatever. Those would take precedence. But being that the millage passed in the other two townships are going forward with their full services, okay? In Addison Township now, our question is, that was presented to us by NODA, and I am the chairman of NODA, and the other members did speak. Our question is, if we do not contribute our fair share to NODA, which we helped build, we will be out, according to the other two townships, because they are not willing now to lower their standards and cut their rides. They're going to go forward with or without us, and that's the issue here. So I thought it was important enough to have a special meeting with the Township Board, as well as with NODA, to ask what everybody would like to do. The Township Board member said this is important enough for us to put back on the ballot. And if the people speak again, we will understand. If they say, no, we don't want any public service for our seniors or our disabled people, then we'll abide by that. We certainly won't go around them on that. But they do have to understand that this is the dynamics of the whole situation has changed now. It's a vote of whether we want to contribute our .25, which is a quarter of a mil, which on a $100,000 house with a taxable of $50,000, you're talking about $12 for the year. So, but everybody's going to be in this boat at the same time someday in their life. If you break a leg or you get some kind of a disease or you have convulsions, you can't drive anymore. And if the state doesn't issue you a driver's license, you're a shut-in. And if you can't get to the doctors, you have to rely on relatives. And if you don't have relatives, you have to rely on your neighbors. And if you don't have all of this stuff, then where are you? And I mean, my mother is 97 years old, and she lives down in the Royal Oak area, and they have the Smart Bus. Our system is probably the most efficient system, NODA, in all of Oakland County. And it's run the most efficiently and the cheapest. So, but we don't have Smart out here. So the bottom line is NODA is all we have.
And really, that's that $12.50 per year, as a general rule, is an investment into everyone's future in this community, correct?
Well, the thing is there's been so much sweat and equity to build up NODA from the ground up. We got these federal grants. We now have a whole dispatch center. We have the actual transportation center now, which is at the old Orion School bus garage, and we have that all set up. Everything we have running in a most efficient way, and the whole system is up. If you had to start this system from scratch again, say 10 years down the road, the cost would be astronomical. And people have to understand that the federal government gave us this grant to start this system. And it was started in 2001. And now the grant, they say, we now have got you up and running, and now you're going to have to now take care of this because we're taking that money and moving on to another community and starting their busing service. And so I tell people, is this important enough to you to take care of your seniors and your disabled people? And you'll have to vote for the .25 millage to keep us in it. And if you don't, we'll understand. I have no idea how we'll get our seniors and our disabled people to where they need to go, but that's another story and another day, I think.
Well, I have to say, I did live in this community, and it's a tight-knit group. It really is. Everybody knows everybody. And I guess I have to fall back on that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to take care of one another. And initially, that's what they joined the NODA group for in the first place. I know that there's not a huge amount of people in this community that uses NODA. However, the ones that do need to be taken care of by their entire community. And is there something in place, such as church groups or something, to make sure those people are taken care of?
Well, we do have a large population of senior citizens in this township. We have the Lake community, which is there are an awful lot of senior citizens around there, but we do have a large population of senior citizens. Our seniors out here, as long as they're able, they're driving themselves, but there comes a time when they can't. And then their children are caught in that position that they have to take time off work to come and take care of their parents, to get them to the doctor's appointment. And NODA takes care of that for them. Not only do they do that, they take them to the grocery store. And not only do they take them to the grocery store, they make sure that the seniors get back in their house and they carry their groceries in for them. And on top of that, it's also the communication aspect, where there's somebody there who's watching over them, who knows what's going on. And sometimes we get calls that there's somebody that really needs our help, and it happens to be the NODA person that knows that. And, and that's how I get a lot of references or referrals for my Christmas in Action group, which, we have Orion, Oxford, Oakland, and Addison, and we fix up senior homes, all completely free. And we get a lot of referrals from NODA because they know every senior in the community and they know what their needs are, and then they just send me a note saying somebody doesn't have heat in their house or somebody doesn't have can't afford their electricity, and we find donations throughout the community to pay for their gas or to pay for their electricity or to update their house. And this has happened several times. So, and those are the things that are just the underlying things that make NODA important.
Well, so the vote failed in August by just a number of votes, right? It was just a handful?
Well, it failed by 26 people, but the people did speak. And if the dynamics were the same, I would not put this back on because the people did speak. That was an August 5th vote, and it failed by 26 people. And if it were the other way around, we certainly wouldn't bring it back and say, let's see if we can have it defeated. But it's not about that it failed by 26 people. It's about the dynamics of the whole situation now have changed, that we no longer will be in NODA now if we don't contribute our fair share because the other two townships are moving forward and going to provide that service.
And that was not made clear to the community prior to them making their initial vote.
Well, that was not those were not the aspects of it at that time. The aspects were if all three townships or two of them didn't pass or whatever, we were just going to cut the services for the amount that we no longer had the revenue from the federal government. But what happened is the the two biggest contributors decided that they're going forward, and Addison Township, of course, we transport somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 people a year over, if you look at the record. And 2,500 trips, and that's to and from the store and waiting for the people at the doctor's office or waiting for them at the grocery store. So this is not like a taxi. You can't just get a taxi and then the person's going to sit out there and wait for you while you do all these things, where NODA does. So there's a lot more to this than people understand. And until you get in that position and have to rely on that, you really don't know. And that's why I'm trying to tell people how important this service is.
Well, thank you for making that a lot clearer for everybody. I have faith in the hearts of the people in this community. Again, they all want to take care of each other. I've seen it happen. They all know each other. So we'll keep asking you questions between now and November and help you get that word out. And thank you for talking with us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Bill, I hope that's a lot clearer for everybody else now.
Well, we hope Addison will continue on NODA this fall. Well, that's all the time for this week. We hope you enjoyed our program. Next up, watch My Life with John Ogen every day at 10 o'clock and 5 o'clock on Oxford Community Television. So for our reporters, Andy Curtis and Pauline Bennett, and our editor, Terry Stiles, I'm Bill Service. And you have a great, great week.